If they ever hold a contest for the worst school in the world, mine would definitely take first place. From the outside, the building looks like a total madhouse straight out of a horror movie. And inside, it's even worse. The floors creak like they're hiding the ghosts of students who failed their finals, and the walls are painted this weird shade of green that somehow reminds you of hospitals, mold, and dried-up vomit all at once. The cafeteria food? It was like they were actively trying to reduce the world's child population. In the 6 years I've been here, I've never once been able to recognize what was on my plate. It always looked like gray sludge with lumps and smelled like a mix of my grandma's farts and old socks. So yeah, I don't eat in the cafeteria. Better to starve than end up in the hospital with food poisoning. And my classmates? Oh boy, we had this girl who pulled out her own hair and made bracelets out of it. She gave me one. There was this guy who would eat a cockroach if you asked him to. Another girl constantly said, "I don't give a crap." One time her backpack caught on fire. Don't ask how. And she just muttered, "I don't give a crap," and just kept chewing her nails. And let's not forget the dude who refused to shower because he believed soap would wash away his invisible armor. God, if he reeked. The teachers weren't much better. Our gym teacher once showed up completely wasted and spent the entire class telling us a story about how a goose bit him. He laughed like a lunatic and then just passed out on the floor. And yeah, he still works here. One time I peeked into the principal's office to see what he did in his free time. Want to know what I saw? He was dancing in a Spider-Man costume and a ballet tutu to some creepy old people music. Nobody in class believed me, but I swear it really happened. The only good thing about this school was biology class. Mrs. Plushie was a sweet, chubby old lady. People said she had like 40 cats at home, and honestly, I believed it. She smelled like a mix of cat pee and lavender perfume. She must have been at least 100 years old. Almost completely deaf, always mumbling to herself. You could never understand a word she said. But she was cool. She let us play on our phones the whole lesson after we told her we were reading biology articles online. She had only one rule: don't go into the lab. Ever. She loved locking herself in there for half an hour, which was great for us because we could go nuts while she was gone. And that's where my story begins. Everything started out normal. I was in the middle of beating a really tough level in my game when the secretary knocked on the door and told Mrs. Plushie to go see the principal. She mumbled something and left. That was our cue to have fun.
All right, who wants to see what's inside that stupid lab? I heard she keeps cats in there. Stephen Bell said he heard meowing near the door once,
said Tom, the guy who could eat a cockroach.
I don't give a crap,
muttered Anna, chewing her nail, but her eyes were sparkling with curiosity. I'm in, I said, feeling something between fear and excitement stir inside me. We snuck up to the lab door. It was open just a crack, and a weird smell was coming from inside. A mix of formaldehyde, a cat's litter box, and something else I couldn't place. Tom pushed the door and it creaked open. The lab was dimly lit. One lonely lamp glowed over the table, casting shadows over strange-looking equipment. Jars filled with murky liquid and something what looked like rotten meat. No, it was something else. Something alive.
Guys, are those organs?
Tom asked.
I don't give a crap,
Anna said, but her voice shook. We stepped closer. The things on the table pulsated like they were breathing. In one jar, something floated that looked like an eye, but it was way too big to be human.
Hey, look!
Tom pointed at a cabinet in the corner. It was locked, but the door was slightly open and a small tuft of fur was sticking out.
Let's open it,
Tom suggested, eyes gleaming with excitement. Bad idea, I tried to say, but it was too late. Tom yanked the door open. Inside there were jars that lined the shelves, their labels too faded to read. One jar had a hand floating in it. Only the fingers were freakishly long. Another contained what looked like a cat's paw, except the claws were massive, like razor blades.
This is so cool!
Tom grinned and grabbed a jar. Put it back, I hissed, but he was already twisting the lid open. The stench hit us instantly. A mix of rot, chemicals, and cat food? Then we heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, and something dragging behind them like a tail scraping against the floor. We turned around. Mrs. Plushie. But she wasn't the sweet old lady we knew. Her eyes glowed green. Her skin, where it wasn't covered in fur, looked like it was peeling away, revealing something slimy underneath.
"Children,"
She said, and her voice was no longer soft and mumbling. It was strong, demonic.
"you shouldn't be here, and you broke the rules."
And then, all hell broke loose. Tom tried to run, but she grabbed him with her long, bony fingers. His body started melting, like he was dissolving. Anna just stood there.
I don't give a crap.
She said, but her face had gone completely white. Mrs. Plushie turned to her, eyes glowing, mouth dripping with black liquid.
"You're next."
Anna didn't even have time to scream. Her bones snapped like dry twigs. She collapsed to the floor and her skin started peeling, revealing muscle and bone. I bolted for the door, but it slammed shut on its own. Mrs. Plushie walked toward me, her body shifting, changing. Her hands stretched into long clawed fingers. Her spine arched like a cat ready to pounce. From under her skirt, something slithered out, a tail.
"You won't escape."
She hissed. The stench was suffocating. My legs felt like jelly. But if I wanted to live, I had to act. I grabbed the closest jar, full of some disgusting brown slime, and launched it at her face.
"No!"
She screeched. I didn't wait. I ran. I burst into the classroom, expecting chaos, screams, blood. Something. But everything was normal. The students sat at their desks. Mrs. Plushie stood at the front, calmly sorting through test tubes. "What the?" I gasped, looking around.
"Take your seat, dear,"
She said, not even glancing at me. I turned back toward the lab. The door was open. Just empty tables, neatly arranged jars, and silence. Tom and Anna were gone. Then I saw it. Something peeking from under Mrs. Plushie's skirt. A tail. Long, balding, twitching. "Mrs. Plushie," I whispered, "you have a tail." The class laughed. She looked at me, and her lips curled into a too-wide smile.
"Oh, sweetie,
She said, adjusting her skirt.
it's just my new shawl."
Tom and Anna were never found.